Good afternoon. This is Ty DeLavalade with Deuce Golf, coming to you this afternoon with Andy Walker from Lynn University, the back-to-back men's golf champion golf team. Andy, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing, Ty?
I'm doing fantastic, Hey, thank you again for making some time. I know we're all very busy and you're doing a lot of things right now. You're not recruiting as what you normally would be doing, because this is normally you would be like in the middle of the season. But tell me about like your time right now. How are you spending your time?
So actually, I just got done recruiting. It's been more virtual. I can't go out and watch the players so much. So I'm making sure that I solidify the players I want to do. I have a great class coming in. I'm bringing in 5 players, all international players, and a transfer from a D1 program that I can't announce for another 2 weeks. But that's fun. Besides that, I just started getting back on the golf course a little bit. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but I've been spending some time, working out at the house and just trying to stay as busy as I can and get in a little bit better shape and get the team ready for when we do come back, which will hopefully be sooner than later. It'll be a smooth transition.
12 months ago today, what were you and the guys doing?
Great question. So 12 months ago today, we were at this time, we were in our semifinal match. Yeah, playing against the university, Florida Southern University. Yeah. And so we were playing against them in the semifinal match at the NCAA championship. And it was a good match, but one that we obviously prevailed, with.
So when you're playing in these huge tournaments, and again, congratulations, how do you choose, how large is your team typically? And then how many of the young men do you actually take with you on the road to play in some of these large tournaments?
So we carry a roster of 10 players to tournaments. 5 travel, and you count 4 scores every day. So 5 guys play, you throw out your worst score, and that's your team score. Okay. How do we get there? It's a long process. We have qualifying early in the year, so the guys will qualify for every spot. And then as the year goes by, based on performance from week to week, if you finish in a certain area in the tournament, I will exempt you for the next tournament. And then maybe 1 or 2 guys will have to go back into qualifying to give everyone at home a chance to get in. And towards the spring last year, I think about 2 tournaments in, a second or third tournament in, we knew who our top 5 were going to be, and they had separated themselves from the rest of the team. And it was a team. I think the last 4 or 5 events we played with the same 5 players throughout, the end of the season, regular season, and into postseason.
Now, there's the physical play of the game, but when it comes to the mental, we see a lot of professional golfers break down, last couple of holes. Mentally, they don't have the tiger or the lion in them, or the tenacity to actually finish. They get close, and then mentally they're not there. How do you get these young men mentally there? You get them physically there, like they can hit a ball, they can get it close, but how do you get them mentally there to be ready to go? Because obviously you've won. You came into Lynn University in your first year. Obviously they won the year before, but you took them right back again, even with some new guys. But mentally, how do you get them synced where they can go out there and have that killer mentality?
Well, I think that's what I work on most of the year. We work on very few things that are physical that don't start with a mental aspect to it. And so I think what we think and how we act and how we prepare manifests itself through a golf swing. So I always say the thoughts that you have will manifest itself into the swing that we make and the golf shot that we hit. So we're always working on mental stuff. We have some of our best practices usually once a week where we don't go to the golf course. We sit inside a room at Lynn University called the Blue and White Room. That's in the athletic department. And it's like a think tank, we sit in there and it's glassed and it's got our logo. So the guys are feeling the atmosphere of what we're doing. But we get in there and we talk about fears, and we talk about successes, and we talk about how good we are, and we talk about what we need to improve upon. And we talk about the situations that we're going to be in come the national championship. So when we're there, we've already played it in our mind, and we already know how things are going to go. We know how we're going to breathe. We know what the crowd's going to be like, and we know what the golf course is going to look like. We played there earlier in the year in the preview tournament and had a really successful tournament there. So we are always working on the mental aspect, especially myself. I tell the guys, I want you to be mentally and emotionally aware when we get there, and our mental and emotional game plan will manifest itself into the physical game plan and score that we shoot.
I can imagine. I mean, I think every sport is like that. Golf is a very emotional sport because you have to have the confidence. If you decelerate through a swing, it makes all the difference, when you're going in one direction or the other, especially if your body's not syncing at the same time. So I could see how that can obviously manifest itself. Now, as it relates to, for those people who don't really understand the format of the NCAA championship, can you walk us through the types of different events that are happening so that we can kind of understand those tournaments?
Right. So to get there, obviously you have to be top in your region. So either winning like a conference championship, sometimes it gets you to the regionals. So we were playing good all year. We were ranked pretty much top 2 the whole year. We finished second at our conference championship, and then we got into the NCAA regionals, which was in Howey in the Hills, Florida. And we played great there. I mean, we absolutely played great. And so I think it was the top 7 or 8 teams came out of regionals, get to nationals. Once you get to nationals, it's pretty much like the top 30 teams in the country are there. We get there, you play 3 rounds of stroke play, and then you get seeded after three rounds. The top 8 players go into the match play, and you start with the quarterfinal matches. And so, like I said, today would have been a 36-hole day. We played a year ago today. We played 36. We played our quarterfinal match in the morning against Cal State Monterey Bay, and then in the afternoon we played Florida Southern.
How many days? What's the span? How many days?
So we get there. Yeah, you get there and you play. I believe it's 2 practice rounds, 3 days of stroke play, so you're at 5, and then 3 more matches in 2 days. So it's 7 days of 8 rounds of golf.
That's intense.
Yeah, it's a lot of golf, but I think if you're mentally prepared and you're physically prepared, on the fitness side and everything, to me, I think if we're mentally and emotionally prepared, that's the most wear and tear you're going to get on your body is going to be that side of it. So knowing when to rest, how much to practice when you get there, what to eat, when to eat, when to go to sleep, when to wake up. I think all of those, it's part of the strategy in being successful.
Interesting. So as we look at going into 2020, I guess in 2021 season, how do you get prepared, or what's the process of looking at who, your seniors who are moving on, and you lost like your number 1 guy, so he just graduated. And so how do you look at backfilling, the team? Do some kids move sideways? They realize they didn't get enough playing time, or you just try to coach everybody in and bring as many as you can in? Like, what's your goal for this upcoming year?
So I didn't plan on bringing in as many, as big of a recruiting class I did this year. I just think that it fell out that way, that, with the whole COVID thing, and some guys are graduating and moving on. I am bringing Toto Gana back, which is great. He was one of our captains this year. He played in the Masters a couple years ago. He won the Latin American Amateur Championship. Really? This kid's a stud. And so he's probably not just one of the best players Lynn's ever had. He's probably one of the best athletes that Lynn's ever had at the university. So, he's already been a 4-time All-American. And, the kid's unbelievable. So he's going to come back and play because the seniors were granted a 5th year, which is huge for our team to have some of that senior leadership coming in. Also, one of our top players is a young guy who's going to come in as a junior, but he'll be sophomore eligibility-wise again because of the whole COVID situation. And he's just a monster, and his name's Augustine Nerezariz. I did lose a transfer out. That was a really good player. Obviously, a couple guys graduating, so I'm bringing in a young core, but I have a great core of juniors on the team that were just outside of the starting lineup. So I really expect one of them to come in and bring some leadership and get in that in one of those top positions. And then I'm pretty sure that the transfer we have coming in, along with some of our freshmen, are definitely. I mean, they're battle ready. I mean, those guys are good, and so they're going to come in, and they don't care if it's Toto Ghana or whoever. They're going to try and play that number one position. So this year is going to be the hardest tournaments I think we're going to play every year or every week is going to be our qualifying to get to the tournament.
So when you're looking at like these players that you're getting, would you say on an average they're coming to you at anywhere, I guess, between 18 to 20 years old, depending on if they're transfer freshmen?
Right.
How many years of on average, would you say many of them have been playing? I mean, for those who are, listening right now, when you're looking at a player that's coming to you and they're at their top level, or at least getting there as much as they can, have they been playing since they were like 8? Is this on the average is like 5 years, or some of these kids been playing since they were like in elementary school? Some kids are watching this trying to see exactly when do I need to get started so I can battle with these other kids.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say yes to all of those. Some of them started when they were 4
all of them?
5.
Yeah.
Some of them started when they were 10, and not many of them that are playing for us probably started when they were 15 or 16, because at that point I think they had already had to been playing a very high level golf. Our team is very international, so I'm always looking at WAGR rankings, the World Amateur Golf Ranking System, and seeing that they're playing big international tournaments and being successful. Because to me, those guys, their games travel. They move from country to country and from state to state or province to province, wherever they're doing, and a lot of times from continent to continent playing these big tournaments. So I like those guys that are coming in, that their games travel and have moved around a lot. So usually you're going to be playing high level competition, and I would say international play for 3 or 4 years before you're coming into college. But you also will get a late bloomer as well. And so, it's just really finding out what the fit and mix is with your team. Do they have that tenacity? Do they have the mental toughness you were asking about earlier? Do they have the work ethic? Not every good player can play at every program, because I think the coach-player dynamic has to be there as well. And there has to be that relationship, and they have to trust you, and you have to know that I'm giving this player not really what he needs. I'm giving him not what he wants, but what he needs to get to the next level and to be the best player possible. And so when you build that when you're doing the recruiting process, we know who are feeling what you're saying and whose antennas go up when you're talking to them. And so I recruit a little bit different. I obviously talk about Boca Raton and how beautiful it is in South Florida and the golf courses we play in our schedule, and all that plays a big part into it. But I really try and sell my past, and I try and sell the success I had in college playing college golf. And so they know that someone has been there and done that. And if they want to play on tour as well, I sell my past and playing on tour. And so it's easier for me to be, I would guess, more of a quote unquote players coach. Mm-hmm. And so we can relate, we can talk golf, we can talk shop, and I'm going to let them know during the recruiting process that if they do come play for me, they come play for Lynn University. Our program is going to be run different than everybody else.
To end this, what I want to do is to compare some things, because I think this is important. You just mentioned it. A lot of us look at NFL coaches, and we look at NBA, and maybe not hockey, but depending. But we look at those head coaches. Many of those head coaches have not been in the hunt, in the fire. They haven't played on the field. They're coaches. They have not played for 5 years or 10 or 15, or some of them maybe not at all professionally, but they're coaching, men who are, professional athletes.
Right.
How would you compare yourself to maybe other coaches who have not played at your level at so many different levels? Because you've played at every level, to be honest.
Yeah.
How do you compare? How do you set yourself apart as Coach Walker compared to? I mean, we don't want to pick individuals, but just like why you are here and why you've been so successful, and this is why you've been successful.
I think you can be passionate about coaching, whether you played on tour or in the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball, whatever the respective sport is. I think you could be successful not having played there. For me, it would be tough. I mean, it would be tough for me to go tell some of the best college basketball players in the world that are 6'10", what they need to do to dunk on somebody in the Final Four when I've only watched it on TV. But with that being said, plenty of people do it, right? And so, and they are successful, and we see that. You know, I mean, I'm from Phoenix. Cotton Fitzsimmons. I'm pretty sure he didn't play, you know, for the Phoenix Suns, but he was a successful coach for us. And there's certain players that and coaches that have that kind of relationship. Myself, like I said, I'm a player, and I'm still a player. Not that I'm playing for a living anymore, but I play with the guys. I hit the shots. I don't ask them to do things that I can't do. Mm-hmm. And that's I think it's important too. I can get in the fire with them. If I'm telling them to fly the 2-iron down into the wind, I'm not only going to tell them to do it, I'm going to show them how to do it, and I'm going to work with them in the best way that they can find it to do that. My guys trust me. They know coming down the stretch of a national championship, I won one as a player. I've won 6 of them as a coach. And so they know coming down the stretch, I don't guess and I don't tell them I think, and if you try, it's let's do this here and this is going to be the outcome. And when they see the confidence that I have, it translates into their game, and they start to morph into that confident player. And so it makes me feel great when I know coming down the stretch, the players want you there. Coach, can you walk with me coming down the stretch? I'm going to need you on 16, 17, 18. You know, let's just talk about the situation. Let's talk about breathing. And so my thing is I try to prepare them for that all year. A great story. I mean, I know we started talking about NCAA, and this is NCAA week. Last year, going into the final match, I'm probably one of the most hands-on coaches you'll ever see. There's a lot of coaches that they kind of sit on par threes and they give the numbers to the guys. And, you know, to me, that's a little lazy. I mean, it helps, but I don't think I can make much of a difference in a player seeing him 4 times around on 1 iron shot, right? It's like, what's more important, hitting that iron shot on 15 than on the par 4 before that from the middle of the fairway? So I spend a lot of time walking with the player the whole round. Let's go find out how to turn your 73, 74 into 68, 67, 66. So I spend a lot of time with the players. But last year, and I felt from day one going into nationals last year, or going into the season, until the last day where we're the final match, and there's only 10 players on the whole golf course now, where a couple of days earlier there was a few hundred, close to 1,000 people out there. Really? You know, all of a sudden you're just down to you guys, and that's it. And it's like there's only one match going on the whole day, and it's just your match. Well, in the morning, it was a pretty neat moment. I was there with my assistant coach Keith. Our AD was there, Devin Crosby, and we're all sitting there talking. And I look on the range right when I'm about to go up there and work with one of the guys' swings. And my captains had called over the other 3 players, which were underclassmen, and 2 freshmen and another sophomore. And they're huddled together with their arms around each other. And I took a picture of it. It's my favorite picture I've ever seen in golf. I took a picture with my phone when I saw it. And my senior leaders and captains and actually they were juniors at the time. Okay. They were explaining to the guys what they needed to do for the day. And we had talked about it the night before, but it was almost like the big brothers hugging the little brothers saying, hey guys, we're going to be okay. Right. And so it was such a great moment, because for the first time all year, I couldn't breathe well because we still had the final match to go. But, it was like, I looked over at Keith, my assistant coach, and who did a great job the whole year, and that week especially. And I looked at him, I said, Keith, we're going to be all right. And so, he kind of smiled, and he said, the guys are ready. And, it was nervous because we had a great match coming up. The team that was in the finals with us, Lincoln Memorial, had already upset a great team in the quarterfinals. They won a good match in the semis, and they really felt like they were the Cinderella story, right? So we were the higher rated and seeded team, and they were coming in to knock the Giants off. And so, and the defending national champions at that. And I know that they felt they should win, and I know that they felt that they could win. And so that was my message to the guys the night before was, hey, this is how tomorrow's going to play out. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen, hour by hour, hole by hole, pretty much. And it did. It worked out exactly that way. They came off and got to a hot start, and I just knew that the pressure of the whole week and going through regionals and nationals and everything was going to eventually wear on them. I thought it would, and it seemed like it did a little bit. The emotional part got to them, and we just kind of stayed steady, and we didn't veer from our game plan. And it came down to the last match. We were 2-2, tied going into the last match, and we won that last match, so we ended up winning 3-2.
So you only had a couple holes left.
Well, no, it was done. So medal match is different.
Okay.
Medal match is different. So we played medal match, which means we played the whole match. So if me and you were playing and I've got a 4-shot lead on you going into the last hole, our match didn't end a couple holes ago, 3-2 or 4-3.
No.
You played the whole match. So we're playing for a point. So if I make triple on the hole and you eagle it, it's not just to win that hole. You win the whole match. It's the score. Whoever wins, low score. So we're playing a stroke play, match play, pretty much is what medal match is. And we add up the whole score. Whoever shoots the low score gets that point. And so what I love about that is the match is never over. If I beat you 3-2, that's it. You can't catch me. The match is over. But I can be 2 up going into the last hole, and you make birdie and I make bogey. Now all of a sudden we got to go into extra holes. Or or we're splitting a point or whatever it is. So the match is never over till that final putt is done. Everybody plays all 18 holes.
So you have to fight literally to the end, like to that last.
To the end. Yep. You can't. There's no breathing room at all. So
as parents but coaches, how do you separate the helicopter dad thing where as parents we want to be helicopter parents? But we have to trust them, but they also have to trust us. And it seems like you've been able to gain that on both sides.
Well,
I say both sides, but we hope to, at least we try. We try to, at least with the boys. They have to trust you that the game plan you're giving them is going to work. You just have to trust me, but you also have to learn to trust them that they're going to go out and execute. And
that's right. And I think with the helicopter parent part, I think it helps that I have so many internationals because they can't come around that much. So it is great. There's strategy into recruiting a lot of international players.
Okay.
But
okay.
you see through the recruiting process, and my thing is to let the parents know, hey, when I recruit a player, I'm recruiting their whole family, right? I mean, everyone's going to play a part in them being successful. So I tell them, if you can support them emotionally and financially, you let me take care of the golf part. We have people at Lynn, I'll take care of the school part. We're all going to play our role into making your son and his brand successful, right? Inside of the confines of what we want to do and to win. And so, and I think that's it. And I translate that to the players as well, is trust me. And if you trust me, I've got almost 2 hands full of rings that'll show you, why you should do it. And so
how many rings? How many rings, Andy?
I got 7. So,
oh my
God. Everybody's watching right now, The Last Dance, and they're like, oh man, Jordan's got 6 rings. Man, Jordan ain't got nothing. What he said, King Kong ain't got nothing.
I got 7.
So, I got 7, and so, we're going to do, I think the next one is going to be like a 3-finger ring. Like back in the day, just to fill out that hand, and then we're gonna go.
You gotta get them welded together, and love, hate,
Yeah, like Radio Raheem. So, but it's a great question. It's a great dynamic between the relationship you have to have with the parents. And my dad told me something one time. I remember one of my first years coaching, I had a tough situation with some players and parents on the team, and I went to him a little bit confused and not sure how I wanted to handle it. And he said, son, they came to play for you, right? So he said, there's going to be 2 people that are going to coach this team. The players are going to coach this and their parents, or you're going to coach it, right? And so from there on, he was like, you pick who you want to coach your team. And I was like, I'm the coach of my team. He said, okay, then you make the decision and you live with it, and that's the final say, and you go with it. Doesn't mean it's a dictatorship. Right. I mean, I take the opinions of my players on a lot of things, but at the end of the day, like I always say, I tell the players on the team, I tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. Okay. And so that's how we're going to make the decisions inside of a team setting to be successful.
Well, I want to just say thank you. This has been amazing, conversation between the 2 of us. And We'll love to be able to do this again soon, depending on what exactly we can, ram into some conversation. But you and I both can do some chatting. So
Right.
we can go on for forever. But I want to say
I've got all day.
We got all day. I got some time. But I wanted to say thank you again. I really appreciate you making some time for us today. Can you share, if people want to follow Lynn, Lynn University's athletics, but the boys golf team, how do they find you guys on social media, Instagram, or the website for Lynn University? How do they find you to keep track of what you guys are doing?
Perfect. No, that's a great question. You go to our website is lynnfightingknights.com. Every day we have a great SID who's always posting new stuff about the team. Every team has their own web page inside of there that tells about our schedule, that talks about our performance, our stats, things that are going on with Lynn University, which is, golf isn't the only program that's really good there. I mean, they seem to be successful everywhere, and I think it's because of our leadership. Okay. And it trickles right on down. We have the teams, most of our coaches, our team web pages are like our page, right? So it's not just the Lynn golf page. It may be the Andy Walker golf Twitter account, okay? And under that, I'm posting stuff about obviously our team and everything, and so they keep everything really, really clean. But you can follow us on Twitter, Lynn Fighting Knights, and on Facebook we have Facebook page. And I think if you can Google everything, we're on Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, throughout, the players do a great job of putting content up as well. I need to get a little bit more into like the Instagram. I'm starting to do it a little bit. I kind of tweet every now and then. I share more stuff than anything
but Instagram.
I'm old school. I'm just getting off of what was the thing we used to have?
MySpace.
Yeah, I'm just getting off the MySpace. So, but I do more Facebook stuff, and I appreciate you having me on. It's been fun. Congrats with everything going on with Deuce Golf. I look forward to seeing some of your guys' stuff and supporting what you do as well. And, I'm here anytime you want to chat, man.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Oh, man.
Talk to you soon, Coach.